How you doing, guys, from Yonkers Voice? Once again, we are sitting here with Gino Civale. I was going to say a local artist, but reality, Gino is not a local artist. He's a world-known artist.
Thank you.
He has exposed his art everywhere.
In a number of countries.
In a number of countries, so he's an international artist. This is the second time that we're sitting with Gino, and we want to bring up the positive stuff that also happens in Yonkers, the things that we're proud of, the things that we want to motivate others to come to Yonkers and do it and expose what they do.
Yes.
So, Gino.
And the opportunities, the event of May 5th and 6th is called the Yoho Weekend.
Okay. So, before we go, we are here at Yoho. Yoho is also known by another name. What is it?
Yes, the city of Yonkers renamed this area the Carpet Mills Arts District. You have to realize that this particular area, these 2 or 3 buildings around here, employed about 7,000 people almost 100 years ago. It was a very active area for work. And now this particular building we are sitting in is run by Heights Real Estate, and it's called the Yoho Studios. And it is right now populated by about 50, 60 different artists, different styles. And once a year they celebrate the open studios, which is May 5th and May 6th, from 12 to 5. Okay. And it's, you know, it's usually I've been part of it for the past 4 or 5 years. And I've seen over 1,000 people coming to the studio, which is great for an artist.
So, Gino, let me just, before we go a little further, let me apologize to our audience for the occasional noise that we hear. So, guys, you know that we are here in this building, Yoho in Yonkers. There is a lot of artists and people in and out. So once in a while you might hear some noises that are out of control. So if you hear, apologize. Remember that Yonkers Voice is not a regular studio. We are a mobile studio. We go and we meet our people, our friends, our artists.
And we are in the 4th floor, in the lobby of the 4th floor. And then there is the 5th floor, is the one which is most populated historically. And people go up and down all the 24 hours. This place is open 24 hours a day.
Okay. Now, Gino, before we go too much further, I know that there is some upcoming events in Yonkers. Let's just tell our audience right in the beginning what's coming up. I know that this week it's the Art Week, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
You have to realize that Yonkers now has 4 steady official art galleries. A few years ago there was barely one. Now we're already at 4, and there is announcements about a 5th and a 6th that may be coming up soon. So the arts environment is becoming more important for the town, for the city of Yonkers. And obviously the mayor believes that if the arts are supported, then more people will come and visit. At the same time, they have an opportunity of seeing the buildings along the water, and many people from New York City are happy to move up north and come here because the transportation is pretty good and fast.
Yonkers is very accessible to the city.
It is, absolutely. I can tell you that throughout my life I've been working in New Jersey, in Connecticut, and all over Long Island, and being in Yonkers was perfect.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned Mayor Spano.
Yes.
How influential has Mayor Spano become? I'm talking about in regards to the artistic community.
Oh, he's extremely influential. I don't know if there is a particular relationship coming to see my work, but he has come to at least 1 out of 2 of my shows. And one weekend he came up, he climbed the steps. The elevator was not working to come to my studio. And we took a number of pictures together. The proof of the pudding is if you go in the City of Yonkers website, you'll find a picture of Mike Spano with me.
Are you saying that the mayor was able to climb all the, because I had a hard time.
Yes.
He's in shape?
Oh, he's in better shape than the people assisting him. And he was here, and he didn't puff and huff, and it was a good day. Anyway, he certainly is eager to help in all possible ways.
Now, what about, I see that arts, and artists, there is no age bracket. You
No.
can be a young artist, you can be an old artist. There is a wide range. Do you have any suggestions for our young artists that want to get involved in this?
Creativity is something that often comes by itself. An example is that until age 15, I hated art. I could care less. I didn't want to go to a museum. If my father would take me, I would be bored. Then all of a sudden, at age 15 and a half,
Well, let's just give it a second because of some noise. Guys, as you know, this is a mobile studio. We work on the go, so bear with us.
and our wheels don't have rubber underneath, like certain trains in Canada and Washington or whatever, not to make noise. Okay.
So creativity has no age limit.
Absolutely not. There are people at 90 years old who still produce, and you see it on television quite often. There are interviews of artists that have done it for 40 years, 30 years. Myself, I've done it for only 68 years. I started.
That's
50.
it?
Yeah, that's it. So now I'm 80. So I'm on my way up in number of years, and I hope to continue doing it for a few more years.
Well, Gino, then you are just at your infancy of your artistic
Absolutely.
life.
Because nowadays you have people in Japan. The man was 117 years old, and the next one is 116.
Still producing.
I'm trying to catch up.
That's it, still producing, and producing good art.
I don't know about that, but anyway, in producing something that I enjoy doing. And sometimes you don't do it for yourself, you do it for other people. Proof of the pudding is some of the works around here. The super of the building came in and he said, "Oh, I love this." Okay, so have it. And it's a 10 feet wide, 5 feet high.
Yeah, the one that
canvas,
you show me,
yes.
you cannot see it from here, but it's right above the one of the walls in at the entrance.
And it's quite a satisfaction for a person to be admired or appreciated.
But now, Gino, do you have like workshops for young artists that perhaps not teaching them how to paint, but give them guidance how to?
Well, it's unfortunate that most schools no longer practice music, visual arts, and so on. Apparently, there are no funds for that. There are not that many teachers. I remember not too long ago, in Roosevelt High School, they had like 3 teachers, one for photography, actually 2 for photography, 1 for painting, 1 for different type of arts. These kind of things are no longer easily available here in certain parts of the United States. I think funding is the problem. And obviously there are organizations that try to penetrate the society and offer this kind of services. But not everybody can afford it. At the same time, social clubs or whatever, they allow showing art. So you could be 90 years old and make something really nice, someone will show it. So there's got to be, it's a two-way street. If someone likes it, they'll like to share it.
Like everything else. But Gino, how important do you think is art in today's society?
In certain countries, particularly Europe, the oldest continent, if you wish, art is extremely important. In the United States, art became important, more important, about 50, 60 years ago at the time of the Jackson Pollock and so on. Nowadays, art is confused and mixed with with some aspect of art, like television, any video showing, light music, together with opera music, classical music. Then you have all sort of other ancillary type of arts. Let's face it, all the arts, according to the Greeks 3,000 years ago, relate to architecture, because the architecture was the example of an artistic achievement. And painting and music, it's all related to a building, architectural building. Now in this country there are beautiful architectural pieces. At the same time, we're being surpassed by countries like United Arab Emirates or some of the Far Eastern countries. All you have to do is look at the profile of their landscape, and you say, what is Manhattan downtown? Is almost nothing in comparison to what's going on. So to answer your question, art is important, but not equally globally.
But just for sake of arguments, I don't want to make a big topic out of it, but those countries that you mentioned, those architects that are designing those beautiful buildings, most of them are European architects.
Or American.
Or American
Oh, there's plenty of them.
So it's not because of a lack of...
no, it's a lack of funds.
Lack of funds. So it comes down to money.
Always.
Okay?
Everything comes down to money, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have right here in America what it takes.
Yes.
What we don't have or what we don't give is the money to fund those artistic expressions.
And you'll be amazed to realize how the change in the brains and the ability to do things has changed in the last 20, 30 years. And Bill Gates put it very well not too long ago. He said, every year 2,500 of the best brains come out of school, and those are the people who are going to sort of guide the world in one direction or another. It could be in making products, in helping corporations, in inventing totally new techniques and so on. And this used to be coming from the United States. Nowadays, the number of 2,500 is down to maybe 300 or 400. All the rest, 2,000 come from the rest.
Let's wait a little bit for the noise. Guys, again, we apologize, but as we explained at the beginning of the shooting, this is an artistic spot, an art spot. So there is a lot of moving around, artists coming in, getting out. So please bear with us. Just so, Gino, now I understand that you have some artwork here in this building. Above us, you cannot see it because the camera is not pointing, but we're going to get there. Also, some canvas.
Yes.
For how long you've been? What's your relationship here with the?
Well, I had a studio behind the door over there for over 3 years. Over 3 years. Then recently I just left it and transferred my studio elsewhere. However, there are so many pieces I left in here because the management of the building loved it, and I want to remain part of the Yoho weekend of the event, because, so in other words, I'm permanently in display until these walls are going to be covered with white.
A new coat.
And but for the time being, they reflect some of my thoughts. And I'd like to show you some of the some of these.
Now, before we move into your art that it's displayed all around it, is there anything that I forgot to ask you, Gino, that you would like to address, or you
yes, I would like to say that there is a number of good artists in this building, and unfortunately, the 2 days visit may not be enough for most people to really appreciate them. So I would like to invite as many people as possible to go and visit all the exhibitions that are around our area. Not only Yonkers, as far as White Plains, Ossining, Greenberg and so on.
Okay.
There are plenty of galleries, and they're all listed in the Arts Westchester monthly magazine. So anyone who is smart should pick up a copy either in Mamaroneck or White Plains or whatever. They're out there, they're free, and it shows an entire month of events.
Where are those copies? You know, you mentioned the city, but any specific place like CVS, Walgreens?
No, they are in the street. They are like special weekly newspapers. And there is, for example, one near the courts in White Plains. There is one in Mamaroneck Avenue in White Plains. And they are near the post office in Mamaroneck. They are all over. And there is thousands of those magazines. They could direct people to go see artistic events.
Okay. All right. Now let's go to the next part of this interview and let's talk about some of your artwork.
Sure.
You're going to show me some of the stuff?
Yeah, I'll show you a couple, yes. There is more than one, but I'll show you two.
Okay, good enough. So stay tuned. We're going to just roll now into the artwork itself. And Gino is going to give us a little explanation about each of those art pieces that he chooses to tell us about, okay? So give us a second.
This is one of the murals I painted here in the Yoho building, and I donated to the Yoho Artist Studios as well as to the city of Yonkers. This is a collage of thoughts, or important thoughts to me, about the human condition, about what we are here on Earth. And historically, up here at the top, you have Anubis, which was an Egyptian god, always portrayed with the head of a dog, because he was supposed to watch the dead. The next thing you see here is a cross, which shows a few centuries ago the intent of the church, of the Christian church, to unify all the possible currents and ideas in the Christian religion. Right underneath, Confucius, who was a teacher of practical ways of living, and eventually became a religion by accident. Down here you have the symbol of the Islamic religion, which was essentially based on the preaching that are in the Quran. And next to it there is Gabriel announcing to Muhammad and that he would be a prophet. And as a matter of fact, he went down in history as called as the seal of prophets. In the Christian Judaic religions, God creates water. Moses presents the Ten Commandments. The Roman triumph, when there was success in a war and a conquest of another area in Europe and the Middle East, there will be an ark created to celebrate success. Here you have actually seven Japanese gods. In the Japanese history, there were as many as 53 different gods, especially with special assignments and functions, and some of them were traditional monsters. Right above, it's a sketch of City Hall in Yonkers, or the main building of City Hall in Yonkers. And continuing above, you have the symbol of the Masons. In the history of the United States, one can verify that a large number of the US presidents we're either Masons or we're connected somehow to the Masons. These two happens to be two old paintings of mine, a fisherman on the rocks, and this is a man who is ready to leave, he's taking a boat and going down the river. And underneath, this child with this surprised expression is coming up in this world and says to us, what kind of a convoluted, complex world am I born into? Yonkers Voice, I thank you very much. This is Gino Civale. I'm glad you were able to look at one of my murals here in the Yoho Studios building. At the same time, I'd like to remind everyone that May 5th and 6th from 12 noon to 5 p.m. there will be open studios, free access to, and a lot of artists, about 50, 60 artists will open their doors and have refreshments for you. And it will be an opportunity. Every year we have over 1,000 visitors, and it's an opportunity to become acquainted with the local art and the people who at least operate in this building. And again, thank you to Yonkers Voice.